I literally dropped my earring while filming this video and I still can't find it. Oh, it's gone forever. Hello and welcome back to my channel. I have been on hiatus for a month, as I mentioned in my last video, but we are now back to our regularly scheduled programs. So I do videos about all things luxury, lifestyle, fashion. I think I say something different about every video, so it really just depends on the week what I'm interested in and making content about, but usually it's going to be lifestyle, fashion, product reviews, tutorials, things of that nature. If you are interested in those topics, then please consider hitting the subscribe button and like this video if you enjoy it. But without further ado, we're gonna jump right into the meat and potatoes of this, which is jewelry. So if you watched my last video, then you know that for some reason in the middle of the workday last week or the week before, I decided to clean out my jewelry collection. And I was like, there's no reason for me to do this without also showing it on camera, of course. It was fun, needless to say, to go through all of my ridiculous jewelry that I have kept for years and years and years and not worn in years and years and years. So we are now a lot lighter in the jewelry department as far as my storage organizer situation is concerned, which is cool because I have been continuing to buy jewelry, as most people who know me know. So having space for the stuff that I have been buying is great, and getting rid of all the stuff I wasn't wearing that was taking up that space, also great. Since that video was filmed, however, I have a little bit of an update. So the main thing that happened is I lost one of my nose rings. Story time. This is not the first time that this has happened. When I had the nose rings that they give you, which if anyone on watching this video has their nose pierced, then you know that when you get it done, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna put like it's like an L-shaped bar. I'll put a picture somewhere here, but it's just like, think L, and that bend in the bar is what keeps it in your nose. But I have fingernails and I wear a lot of rings, and I was always ripping my nose rings out when I was touching my face, doing my makeup, washing my face, coming out of the shower and drying my face. They would get stuck in the towel fiber. I mean, it was always coming out. And when they were brand new, that would usually irritate the piercing enough that it'd start bleeding again or something. I mean, it was annoying and painful, and it made for a really uncomfortable healing process. I don't even know how long it took me, but one of the things I purged was all of the jewelry I tried until I discovered the piercing shop that I mentioned in my last video, which is called Virtue and Vice Piercing. I will pop their Instagram on the side here if you'd like to give them a follow, but they are an APP, I believe the certification is, certified piercing shop. So they're basically certified to not mess up your piercings. Like, I'm sure we all have horror stories about piercings that never healed, or piercings that were done wrong and then the jewelry that you wanted to wear wasn't actually comfortable. Hilariously, for as many piercings as I have, I only have one piercing that was actually done at this location, and it is this little forward helix guy right here. I've had 0 issues with that piercing and a whole host of issues with a lot of my other ones, which again, if you watched my last video, I went through. I've gotten some done at Claire's, I've gotten some done by friends, and I've gotten some done at tattoo parlors, leading up to when I found this place and finally got a piercing done with them, and no complaints. However, I did have a little bit of complaints with the jewelry in my nose. I can show what I had in my nose now because it is no longer in there. I mean, these are so tiny, it's going to be really hard to show it on camera, but you can kind of see it. It's like a little, I mean, really think of like a tiny little ear piercing. It's got a little stud on the front. This is gold. So these are a lot more comfortable because they have this nice flat back that's really smooth, and it's not going to bother you at all. I have a similar thing in the tiny little forward helix piercing that I just showed. I mean, any piercing that's not an ear piercing should have something like that. A little ball or a little flat disc is going to be infinitely more comfortable. It doesn't hook on your hair. For these piercings that you never take out, that's what you want. Now in this placement, I don't have this problem. I can't move my ears, for one thing. I don't blow my ears when I get sick, and I don't have a whole lot of like tangling or getting my fingernails hooked on that piercing. I thought I would actually have more issues with it. And actually when COVID was really hardcore and we were all masking all day, every day, it was very uncomfortable to have the elastic of the mask going like almost over top of that piercing. But more or less, my day-to-day life, that piercing does not get bothered. But my nose piercings, as you may guess, I wash my face every morning and night. I sweat when I'm working out. I'm rubbing my face when I'm out in pollen seasons here now. So I'm blowing my nose and rubbing my nose and all kinds of stuff. Your nose is a very high traffic area. This jewelry needed to be very secure. The way that this is set up, and I don't know if this is going to come across because again, this stuff is so tiny, but on the teeny tiny little post on the head of the jewelry, so this is the front bit, right, that you would see in the piercing, which I just dropped, so I'll find that later, but on the post that comes out of the front, which fits into the post that you put through the back, they basically put a bend in that so that it's less likely to come out. Otherwise, it just comes out as easily as your standard earring. It just takes a little bit of force and it comes out. So they bent that so that it would take a lot of bit of force to come out, but you really can still pull it out with your own strength. I mean, obviously you would want to be able to do that because if you do want to change it, you would like to get it out. My problem is it was slightly less easy to pull them out than with the elbow ones, but I could still, like if I caught it well enough, I could still rip it out. And now that my nose is healed, like fully healed, and I'm not being as careful with it, it's way easier for some reason recently for me to yank this thing out by accident. Actually, right after I filmed that other video, for the second time, I knocked this jewelry out and I was washing my face. So of course that tiny little stud that I just dropped on the carpet went down the drain, and I was like, why? Something I mentioned in that video, and I'll show here, was Maria Tash. So let me go look at Maria Tash's jewelry because I know they have a wider selection, and something I've seen is they have a lot of different types. So it's like, depending on where you're putting the earring, you can basically choose what kind of post situation you want. How long is the post? Does it screw in? Does it push in? Like you can pick all of that with their jewelry because they have these different types of jewelry that are supposed to be able to go on all these different types of piercings. Not everything obviously can go anywhere, but they have a lot more customization options than you would have just going to, you know, a piercing shop and kind of looking at what they have in stock. Here we are. Here's the beautiful case that the jewelry came in just yesterday with this lovely little receipt information packet as well. Here's the box. It has this nice little pull drawer. And obviously when it arrived, the studs were just seated in this nice little blue felt slit here. And over here, I actually bought, in addition to the studs for my nose, I bought this little clicker ring, which is going to eventually go in my rook whenever it heals. But it's a little clicker like earring situation, basically with a hinge, which is, I hope, going to be more comfortable to put in and take out than the one that I had in previously, which you literally had to bend with the force of your own strength, which was very painful, as I'm sure you can imagine, having to bend a ring when it's in your ear. So this guy is waiting for my rook to calm down. But yeah, let's get you in close so you can see. Look how cute it is. Oh, I love them. Like they're so neat and flush against my nose too. So it's like really just dainty and delicate and everything I like in jewelry. I've always wanted Maria Tash. I know this about myself. I knew that I had some issues with the things that were in my nose. Aside from them being able to pop out all the time, they were also a little bit too long, so sometimes they would poke out and I'd have to like push them back in, but of course you don't notice that until you see the pictures of yourself from after the event, right? The stud was a little like taller on the one from Virtue and Vice, and I didn't love that either. 10 out of 10, honestly, my review for Maria Tash. I would definitely recommend them. I would definitely buy from them again. For one thing, these screw in, so there is no pulling these out. I can take them off, obviously, but they are internally threaded. In addition to that feature, I got shorter posts, so it's actually impossible for these to ever poke out. I've tried, like I've poked them out and then I just move my nose around naturally talking and stuff, and they kind of seat back flush against my nose, so there's no issue of them poking out. Like I can even tell washing my face this week versus washing my face with the other jewelry in. Like I can't even feel these. They just sink right into my face and don't even poke out, and that is going to make them significantly less likely to get tugged on. I'm considering buying something for my conch here. I will actually show a picture. I'm so excited about this, but it's their lotus collection. It's 3 Marquise diamonds done in a little flower lotus shape. Gorgeous, but very expensive, especially at the size that I would need for that piercing. So hence me not having it currently. All 3 of these were cheaper. Obviously with no diamonds, it is much easier to save your money. I definitely have my eyes on that for the future at some point. Me losing my nose jewelry turned into me being able to get the Maria Tash jewelry of my dreams. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a little bit about jewelry and where not to buy and where not to get pierced from my mistakes. You know, let my mistakes not have you have to make the same mistakes. Learn from my mistakes, I guess. So this was low-key kind of my jewelry story and jewelry collection add-on, but I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!